Bible English. New vocabulary. Bury. Faith. Favor. Firmly. Forbid. Grace. Persecute. Poor. Preach. Properly. Raise. Recognize. Remind. Resort. Resurrection. Trust. Useless. Worthy. I'm finished my word test. And I'm gonna read Corinthians first. But if you do not recognize this, you will not be recognized. So, your brother and sister, be eager to prophecy, and don't forbid speaking in tongues, but be sure that everything is done properly in order. The resurrection of Christ. Now let me remind you, dear brother and sister, of the good news I preached to you before. You welcome in that and still do now, for your faith is built on this wonderful message, and it is the God's news that serve you if you firmly believe it, unless of course you believe something that was never true in the first place. I passed on to you what was most important and what had also been passed on to me, that Christ died for our sin, just as the scripture said. He was buried and he was raised from the dead on the third day. As the scripture said, he was seen by Peter and then by the 12 apostles. After that, he was seen by more than 500 of his followers at one time, most of whom are still alive, though some have died by now. Then he was seen by James and later by all the apostles. Last of all, I saw him too, long after the others, though I have been born at the wrong time. For I am the least of all the apostles, and am not worthy to be called an apostle after the way. I persecuted the church of God, but whatever I am now, it is all because God poured out his special favor on me, and not without result. For I have worked harder than all the other apostles, yet it was not I, but God who was working through me by his grace. So it makes no difference to whether I preach or they preach. The important thing is that you believe what we preach to you, the resurrection of the dead. But tell me this, since we preach that Christ arose from the dead, why are some of you saying, for there will be no resurrection of the dead? For if there is no resurrection of the dead, then Christ had been raised either. And if Christ was not raised, then all our preaching is useless, and your trusting God is useless. And we apostles would be all lying about God, for we have said that God raised Christ from the grave.